Scorpion invading our timeline also lost his wife and son to Quan Chi's murderous machinations. Consumed by grief, he searched them all to find another Harumi with whom he could rebuild his family. But in timeline after timeline, he arrived too late. Harumi was already dead. When Scorpion reached ours, he was crushed to find that, though alive, Harumi was wedded to Kuai Liang. Thwarted yet again, Scorpion's frustration exploded into rage. He has vowed to burn this entire timeline. If he cannot have Harumi, no one will. Denied his family, his clan, and now his vengeance, Scorpion blazes with demonic fury. He will inflict it on all of his tormentors. Even though defeated, Scorpion remained consumed by rage. He was a clear and present danger to all timelines. But I knew that it would take compassion, not combat, to calm his fury. Using the hourglass, I found a timeline that Scorpion could not. One which had an unattached Harumi. This Harumi is unlike any other. Having lost her Hanzo to that timeline's Quan Chi, it is she who has become Scorpion. Bonding over their shared grief, Hanzo and Harumi join forces to defeat evil in her timeline. It is not just Quan Chi who should fear these Scorpion's stings. The Nitara who now vexes us is from one of the few timelines where Veternians. When they discovered other timelines, and the failure of Veternians within them to flourish, this Nitara's Veternians mobilized for war. They planned to liberate every timeline's vampires and set them on a path to conquest. If they are not vanquished, they will enslave all beings to Veternis. The Veternians from this other timeline make ours look almost incompetent. They fight harder, smarter, and with unbelievable skill. This new Nitara and her ilk will surely test your might. Though they claim to be superior beings, Nitara and her timeline's Veternians proved anything but. They foolishly underestimated the tenacity and skill of this timeline's warriors. And while we have lost many, they are sadly not this war's greatest victims. Those are the ones who were enslaved by a pestiferous Veternian bite, and who, unless aided, will be condemned to languish in an excruciating, eternal twilight. To help them, I travel to a timeline where Veternians work for good, not ill. They graciously share their unique expertise, undoing the dark magic that had befallen my champions. Now, their souls and their lives have been restored. Their safe return is indeed a blessing. The Sub-Zero who attacks us, which is nothing less than to transform our timeline into a frozen hell. Since arriving in our timeline with his legion of Cryomancers, Sub-Zero has been unwearied in his pursuit of conquest. The monstrousness of this Sub-Zero's plans are without equal in history. He takes no prisoners, spares no lives, bent as he is on erasing from existence anyone, from any reality, who does not share his Lin Kuei blood. It will take champions like you to turn back Sub-Zero's frigid onslaught. May your combat save all timelines from obliteration. Despite your victories against his minions, Sub-Zero's icy resolve has not been melted. Perhaps defeating him will shatter it. Even in defeat, this dark Sub-Zero proved most intransigent. Given the chance to surrender, he refused to concede, forcing my allies to finish him. Robbed of their Grandmaster's cunning and tactical genius, Sub-Zero's Cryomancers quickly fell to pieces. The rout that followed was utterly complete. It will take decades to repair this Cold War's devastation. But as the ice thaws and a new spring begins, I find myself hopeful. Once again, my champions have risen to this timeline's defense. And once again, they have emerged victorious. There once was a Shang Tsung even more ambitious than ours. Having created a Mileena hybrid, he decided that she wasn't quite perfect. She needed more intelligence. His intelligence. So he created a new Mileena. One with Katana's grace, Tarkatan ferociousness, and the sorcerer's boundless intellect. In the end, she proved his undoing. This new Mileena killed her creator, made his flesh pit the hybrid factory which she uses to construct multitudes exactly like her. Now an army of Ultra Mileenas has invaded this timeline. If it is not stopped, we are doomed. Great genius and wanton cruelty are two attributes one hopes not to find in the same being. Unfortunately, Mileena has both. If she is not destroyed, she will turn this timeline into her personal hunting ground, and the suffering of its inhabitants will be exquisite. After a bloody, costly battle, the hybrid army was smashed. Its remnants quickly retreated to its timeline of origin. Though the battle was won, the war was not over. The fleeing hybrids were pursued back to their flesh pits. Trapped there, they were obliterated. But even that victory was not total. Some escaped. And they are determined to reconstitute their numbers. Now a squadron travels from timeline to timeline, seeking out these final pockets of resistance. It must find and destroy all of the remaining hybrids. For if even one of these Mileenas survives, the realms remain in peril. When this dark Raiden learned of other timelines and Earth realms, he vowed to protect them all. He set out to build an impenetrable magic barrier to shield them from outside incursions. To power this barrier, Raiden wants to connect each Earth realm's Jinsei, its life force, together. But commingling the immense cosmic power of all Jinseis will cause an explosion which will destroy reality. Entrenched in his position, Raiden refuses to heed the danger. He will connect the Jinseis and create the barrier, no matter what it takes, and no matter whom he must kill. Without hesitation or remorse, Raiden has slain all who dared stand in his way. Only one combatant remains to stop him. The Thunder God's attempt to fuse Jinseis had drawn the attention of Raidens from other timelines. Banding together, they broke his connection with them and purged from him the dark power which had driven him to madness. His senses returned. Raiden quickly realized his grave mistake, how he had nearly destroyed all timelines in a universal Armageddon. He set to work with his counterparts to heal the damage that had been wrought. Though I wish to trust this newly reformed Raiden, I fear I cannot. His dark urges pose too great a threat. Thus, I have banished him to the void, the vast expanse of nothingness which exists between realms. He will not return until he convinces me that he is no danger to our safety. The Zaterans who now infiltrate our reality are their timeline's apex predators. Cunning and tenacious, they conquer peoples and nations, consuming them with slithering ease. As with other timelines they have subdued, these Zaterans have begun their assault on our timeline quietly. Their shape-shifting spies infiltrate our ranks, killing and then replacing those entrusted with this timeline's protection. We must find and finish these imposters quickly before they irrevocably diminish our defenses. If we fail, the Zaterans will waste no time filling their starving bellies with our flesh. All that remains to end this invasion is to defeat the Zateran Emperor, Cyzoth. Do not be fooled by his beguiling human form. This Cyzoth is a cold-blooded killer. Few escape his claws or his bite. As a rule, I do not relish taking lives, but this case is an exception. The suffering Cyzoth and his Zaterans caused, the death he dealt so indiscriminately. He had done nothing to earn my mercy, and everything to reap my wrath. Though their emperor was dead, Cyzoth's hidden minions continued the fight. It took months to unmask them all, and to end their malicious meddling. The realm secured, my attention turned to the timeline from which these Zaterans hailed. I went there, prepared for war. But when I arrived, I found that the Zaterans had named a new leader, one who, like I, was genuinely committed to peace. We resolved our differences and reached agreement on reparations. I am hopeful that hostilities have been permanently ceased. The Tsung who perplexes us is truly pernicious. Like all Shang Tsungs, he sought to master dark magic. But unlike all the others, he has become its slave. He cast a spell from an ancient tome, one which promised the power to consume souls and use their energy to live forever. But his arrogance made him careless, and he cast the spell incorrectly. The error made his body dependent on soul energy. He must consume tens of thousands daily, just to stay alive. Having exhausted his timeline's souls, Shang Tsung now seeks to sate his insatiable hunger with ours. You must defeat him before he can devour them all. Our timeline has suffered enough at the hands of this Shang Tsung's addiction. End him before he ends us. When Shang Tsung arrived in his timeline to consume its souls, he expected little resistance. But my warriors were more than ready. they turned back his onslaught, and in doing so, saved billions of lives. Shang Tsung tried to retreat, but Geras prevented him from returning home. Trapped in our timeline, he led us on a chase across the realms. Eventually, we cornered him in the ruins of Cydo's capital. Cut off from any source of souls and unable to feed, Shang Tsung began aging at an accelerated rate. It being beyond my power to save him, I could only watch as he was reduced to dust. I have often dreaded how my new era might fare, should I ever allow the Hourglass's cosmic power to drive me mad. The Liu Kang who now challenges us is the living embodiment of my grimmest nightmares. Obsessed with crafting a perfect reality, he has rewound and restarted his timeline countless times. His efforts have made him as crazed as Chronica. Upon discovering the existence of other timelines, this Liu Kang resolved to perfect them too. Those he cannot, he will destroy. Save the timeline and save yourself by repelling his army of constructs. While it is regrettable that my counterpart is consumed by his obsessions, we cannot let our empathy become mercy. Until bested in combat, he is a danger to our timeline. Be unwavering in the pursuit of victory. Though Liu Kang and his constructs were defeated, the threat they posed remained. They were deadly, resilient adversaries who would not willingly disavow their ways. For the protection of the timelines, I needed to cure my counterpart's madness. The task ahead was enormous. It required that I call upon, once again, the allies who helped seal Titan Shang Tsung's defeat. We joined our magic together, casting a spell of unprecedented power. Still, it took much toil to break down Liu Kang's insanity. He and his constructs have now returned home. Though I am relieved we salvaged his mind, I mourn those lost before we could.